The recent COVID crisis that has exposed India's vulnerability to the dependence on the global electronics manufacturing supply chain, and the Indian economy has been a roller coaster ride by the pandemic impact, which is certainly not helping but create a hindrance obstacle to the growth of Indian economic sector. And obviously the manufacturing sector is not the case is in any differences. It also suffer a massive trouble in this pandemic situation. The electronics industry is faced the turbulence in equal measure. The one silver lining has been the growing applications and the scope of electronics technology, which is expanding its potential market. Work from home, wireless technologies, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, and the massive growth in those data storage, medical electronics, all those adding to the opportunities for those electronic sectors. The electronics that permeates all those sectors of the economy, from the mobile phone manufacturing to the satellite communication device manufacturing. It's not only the important for the economically, but also of great strategic significance that it has some great enable for the economy and the life itself. We on firm footing and established a sustainable and the competitive electronics sector. India should have a strong ecosystem of electronics components manufacturing, and you can say it has a raw material production that would important for the same, and the demand for this component is rising exponentially in this particular industry growth, and India can match with the requirement of the domestic local industry, and also it can be possible to export those electronic devices if possible. In future India can afford to increase the growth exponentially, that also help the boost for the economy and also for the development of these purposes, to serve those purposes. And manufacturing industry are majorly with imported raw material. In case of active component, they're largely comprised of semiconductors, and domestic share is almost below 12%, and it's remained a steepest challenge for the electronic sector in India to achieving its strategic and economic goals set to reach the domestic manufacturing target. It's a huge target has been set by the government of US $400 billion. It's a massive amount for a particular industry that has been targeted by the government. And electronics system design and the manufacturing sector faces some key cost disadvantages, which include the high finance cost, quality and cost issues with respect to the power supply, and finally the high cost of logistics, including the procedural delay. These disabilities faced by the manufacturing industries are in direct proportion to the value addition, and higher the value addition, higher is the disability cost suffered by the manufacturer, thus impacting the competitiveness in the global market. This disability gets compounded with duty exemption that exposed the fragile component industry to be onslaught of zero duty import from the much stronger Asian competitors. Custom duties also part of information and communication technology product of their inputs in real component that has been brought down to the zero under information technology agreement of World Trade Organization. And this disability cost also may be mitigated fully The dependence is particularly marked in high investment segments such as multiplayer, passive cheap components, semiconductor, and several products and the component that built on those technology of cheap microprocessing unit and semiconductor industry as sensors, memory modules, power management modules, and those display units. The leader in those IT outsourcing and the software development are a long way to reach those global standard in IT product. Display screen provides an opt case where the India's dependence on import that causing a serious roadblock in the aspiration to achieve the Atmanirbhar Bharat campaign by the government in electronics manufacturing sector to the tool and the lifeline for the boost of Indian economy. The growth of India's economic sector to become a Asia's superpower. The South Asian giant are the key role, and to become a South Asian giant, the key role has to be taken by this particular sector, and it has a very bright estimated future can be predicted by the expert that it can be possible for a country like India to get a superpower, to become a superpower tagline in near future. And the market alone in India is estimated at 7 billion US dollar and is expected to grow 15 billion US dollar by 2025, merely a 4 years tenure, and that this current requirement are not exclusively through the imports. A recent report by this feedback consulting prepared by this ICEA revealed that the volume for those display unit would grow from 250 million currently to over 900 million by 2025, and their values would soar from $6 billion to almost $20 billion. And another phase to note that the major share of those displays and the most other electronics is sourced from China, and the stress point with their neighbor, as we all know, that it's the China decide to switch off the tap and even the restrict those suppliers that would face severe challenges in sustaining the supply chain. And this recent pandemic further exposed the vulnerability to dependence on the global electronic supply chain. And the most glaring example that one of the shortage of this chip that is the recent month has brought those automotive sector and the consumer electronics industries to their knees, and plant are lying idle as they did not plan their requirement in advance and failed to assess the rebound in the market after the deep recession by the pandemic. And ICT industries and the IC is basically known as cheap industries that impact the industry, and the recent analysis by the Goldman Sachs revealed that the shortage is impacting 169 industries in some way, and this impact is far severe the electronic sector because the share in this electronic equipment can be as high as 50 to 60%, and even single chip missing can bring the assembly line to a completely stop. It has no substitute and being exactly easy to make and requiring up to 6 months to produce. That's all for now. Thanks for the time. See you in the next video.